Okay, Vince, are you ready for rapid fire?
Let's go, baby.
Fill in the blank. EA Sports released the covers for their college football 26 game. It's blank that Marcus Freeman and Jeremiyah Love are among a slew of coaches and players who are on the cover of the Deluxe Edition this year.
Now, first of all, it's appropriate because Jeremiyah Love is a Heisman Trophy contender and Marcus Freeman is one of the top coaches in college football. So it makes sense. Then I saw the actual picture and I realized that maybe even you and I could have been on the cover because they got a lot of random people on there. They got a lot of players. They got a lot of coaches. They got former players. They got, I don't think I saw any everybody coaches, yeah. The cheerleaders, fans. I mean, there's probably 50 different people on the cover of the Deluxe Edition. I don't know what the regular edition looks like, but the Deluxe Edition.
The regular edition is Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams, Ohio State and Alabama. That's it. And they are the two guys who are standing at the front of the group shot on the Deluxe Edition.
You know what? They had really good freshman campaigns. Obviously, they're two of the best players in the country. Okay. I mean, I get it. That's fine. But yeah, Jeremiyah Love is right in between both of them.
Right.
With the signature heart by his hands.
And then Marcus Freeman is standing right behind
over his shoulder. So, I mean, if you're not going to be on the regular cover, I mean, you're right there in the middle of the deluxe cover. So it's appropriate.
Very appropriate. Very appropriate. I was a little disappointed when I heard that Jeremiyah Love didn't make the regular cover. Like you said, those other guys, okay, great years last year. I really felt like, especially considering, like, if you're going to put Jeremiah Smith on there, why not just put Jeremiyah Love and Jeremiah Smith and have two guys who played in the national championship game last year?
And it's what's funny is looking at the Deluxe Edition, the head coach who just won a national championship
is even kind of
way off in the corner.
No, that was really weird.
It's way in the back.
You know what else was weird though? Why is Tim Tebow on the cover?
So is Reggie Bush.
Was he? I didn't see Reggie.
He's wearing I was
looking for where's Waldo's. There were some other
he's wearing like a USC, like not a letter jacket, but kind of like a letter jacket kind of a deal. He's off. If you're looking at it, he's off to the left. So there are a few different former players on there. There was a real heavyset guy who's not wearing a uniform. I assume he's a former player. I'm not sure who it was. I'm sure somebody will get me on that one. But yeah, it's just a weird conglomeration of people in this picture for the
I thought so too.
Edition.
Yeah. Maybe Tebow's on because the Deluxe Edition is like, is that like, do they have like the Dynasty mode?
Maybe,
or like the old teams or something?
I didn't even know there was a Deluxe Edition. I got the regular game, and it's got all the bells and whistles. I don't know what else.
There had to be a Deluxe Edition.
Well, right? Yeah, that's fair. I just don't know what else you need. Like, you can play the game. You can play. Yeah, what do you need? I don't know. I will not be partaking. I'm the guy that gets the game and I'll keep it for a few years. Like, I don't have to get it.
Does Dylan play?
He and I played the new one. Yeah.
Did you?
Last year. Yeah. When it came out. Yeah. We had a lot of fun with it.
Will he get this year's then, or?
It's a great question. He's going to be busier this fall than he was last fall. So, but I don't know.
He's in college.
What do kids do in dorm rooms these days?
What are you talking about? Like, I mean, that's my point. It's like they're going to be in the dorms. They're probably going to be playing all the time. They're not going to tell you though.
Here's what I'll say: he won't have his own game system. He'll be mooching. He'll be the moocher.
Okay,
because the game system's not leaving this house. So
fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Uh-huh.
Fill in the blank. It's blank that Josh Pate says it's complete garbage that Notre Dame can get a first-round playoff bye, and college football is bending over backwards to appease Notre Dame, all because the Irish are not in a conference.
Clickbait. Clickbait. That's what it is. Like, come on, Josh. Really? Like, isn't he the one that was just singing Notre Dame's praises, and now all of a sudden they're complete garbage that they could get a first-round bye? Like,
it's like we're going right back to the...
I don't understand. Like, dude, pick a lane and stay in it. That's what I would say to Josh Pate. Pick a lane and stay in it, dude. Like, either you're on board, like, so you're okay with Notre Dame playing at home, destroying IU, and then, going to the neutral site and beating Georgia and beating Penn. So you're okay with that, but you're not okay if they have a month off and they get a bye and they don't have to play at home. Like, I don't understand why that's such a big deal, because They don't have automatic buys anymore. This benefits more than just Notre Dame, by the way. The SEC could get 2 buys. The Big Ten could get 2 buys. So is that complete garbage too? That they can get a couple of buys per conference? Come on, dude. Like, just stay in one lane and stay there.
If USC could be independent right now, do you think that they would take it? Like, they could, like, if the financials, like, you think USC would jump on that right now?
You could replace any school in the country and put it into that slot.
That's exactly right.
And the answer would be yes.
Miami, Florida State, Penn State,
anybody.
They'd all sign up for it.
Yes.
They all would. If they could get a TV contract
that
guarantees them the money that Notre Dame gets, and, look at the payout that Notre Dame gets, like, they don't have to share, any of that with conferences. I mean, that's obviously the Notre Dame side of it. Like, they would all take not being tethered to a conference if they could, but they don't have that option. And Notre Dame was fine with the format that they had last year.
They wrote it.
Yes, that's exactly right. Jack Swarbrick helped come up with the format that they had this year. The same one that had them go to the national championship game, by the way. The new format, by the way, would have made Notre Dame's path to the championship a little bit more difficult if they had it last year. So now they've got that format this year, and there's 0 guarantees, but it's not Notre Dame that has to be appeased. The Power 4 conferences, and obviously specifically the Big Ten and the SEC, they're the ones that have to be appeased in all this. That's who's being appeased in all this. It's not Notre Dame. Nobody's bending over backwards to help Notre Dame. All the conference commissioners and Pete Babakwa had to vote unanimously to approve this thing. And guess what? They all voted unanimously. It's not like this was a close vote and, like Notre Dame was strong-arming somebody. Notre Dame was an afterthought in this whole thing. They all realized that, oh, hey, maybe we need to work these buys a little bit differently because it would benefit us, and us, again, being the Power 4 conferences, not Notre Dame. This was not about appeasing Notre Dame in any of this. This was again, like, the strong arms of the SEC and the Big Ten were the ones who wielded this whole thing.
And I'll tell you right now, if Notre Dame ever puts a for sale sign out in front of the Golden Dome and says, hey, we're going to go to the highest bidder, whatever conference wants us, there's going to be multiple bids, okay? Every conference in the country is going to want Notre Dame. So that's not a thing, first of all. Second of all, every one of these conference commissioners and the college football playoff and whoever you want to lump into this particular comment, you can do. They all want Notre Dame involved because it brings more money. Notre Dame brings money. That's why Notre Dame will never have a problem scheduling, regardless of the fact that they're in a conference or not, because these schools aren't going to turn down the money that Notre Dame brings them when Notre Dame comes to town. It will never happen. That's why Notre Dame is so secure in their independence. Nobody's bending over backwards for Notre Dame. Notre Dame is paying them money inadvertently. They want them in the thing. They want them in the playoff. They want them there because more people are going to watch. You're going to make more money the next time that the TV contract comes up for sale. It's easy. That they want Notre Dame because Notre Dame brings money. And you can talk to whoever hates Notre Dame, whatever. They all have one thing in common: money.
Yep.
That's all what it comes down to.
And clickbait.
100%. Because we're talking about it because that's a trash take. That's just a bad take.
It really is.
I mean, come on, dude. Stop.
Yeah. Low-hanging fruit.
Really is, man. I realize it's May, almost June, but that's bad. That's just bad.
The SEC meetings are underway this week, and discussion of what the next college football playoff format, the next one, the one that starts in 2026, not even the one that we just got.
Hard to keep it straight,
about.
Sean.
I know. That's probably the biggest item on the agenda this week. And the auto bids that come with the new format, are probably the most divisive topic right now. So you got SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. He says the 4-4-2-2-1 proposal that would give the SEC and the Big Ten 4 automatic bids could actually cost those conferences bids when it comes to the college football playoff. He points to the fact over the last 11 years, an average of 5 SEC teams and 5.3 Big Ten teams have ranked in the top 10 at the end of the season. So do you buy or sell this argument?
Okay, there's so much to like cut up here, okay? So I'm not sure how 5.3 and what was the other number? Another number was 5 something, right? That's more than 10. And I don't know how you can average that, but whatever. Second of all,
hold it. Back up. What do you mean you don't know?
Like he said,
of the top
5 SEC teams and 5.3 Big Ten teams. That's an average of over 10 in the top 10.
No, top 16.
Or top 16. Okay, sorry, my bad. I see 10. There's a lot of numbers in this I'm looking at. So I apologize. But what I will say is just because, first of all, why do you need your automatic bids then if you're averaging 5 teams in the top 16? You'd be better off not having automatic bids, and then you're going to get your 5 teams in. That's number one. Number two, just because you have 4 automatic bids doesn't mean you're not going to get a 5th team in. It doesn't cut off at 4. So if you've got 5 teams in the top 16, you're going to get all 5 teams in. So again, why do you need the automatic 4 bids? If you're that confident that you're going to get those teams in, if you're going to be spouting these numbers at me that you're going to get that, well, we've averaged 5.3 teams in the top 16 in the last 11 years. Okay, put your money where your mouth is then and get rid of the the automatic bids.
So he's obviously doing his best sales job to try to make us, all believe that this is, the way it's in the 4-4-2-2-1, by the way, is 4 SEC auto bids, 4 Big Ten auto bids, and then 2 each for the Big 12 and ACC, 1 for the best group of 6 team, and then you would have 3 at-large bids after that Notre Dame would fall into after that. I mean, again, he's doing his best sales job. He's got the Big 12 and the ACC arguing with him right now, and they're mad about their 2 bids, which to a point I get, but it's also like, well, I mean, I would be if I'm the commissioner of one of those schools, but at the same time, it's like, well, where's the track record? Like what has your conference actually done over the year to say that you deserve more than that? Because like the Big 12 average is 2.4, the ACC is 2.1. So, I mean, they're both right on that average of what they're going to be getting in all of this. The bottom line in this, though, is the reason they want this 4-4-2-2-1 apparently is because they want to get the auto bids guaranteed at 4, and then they're going to go to a 9-game conference schedule, which means more inventory for ESPN, and then they want to start doing this SEC Big Ten, like the non-conference, and we'll talk about non-conference games here in a minute. So basically, they're trying to they want this as their cushion so they can extort more money from the TV networks when it's all said and done. That's what it comes down to.
Right. But again, all about the money.
Right.
But if you're so confident that your league is so stinking good, let the chips fall where they may, man.
Right. Because we hear every year how great these 2 conferences are, especially the SEC.
Right.
And the shine has fallen off the SEC in the last couple of years. It's been proven now that, especially these last couple of years, and I think it's going to be proven even more after Nick Saban's retirement, that it's really a lot of hype. I mean, for a long time, it was a pretty good conference, but it was also buoyed by the best team in the country as long as Nick Saban was down there in Tuscaloosa. So it just makes no sense that you want auto bids for anything other than your conference champion when, like the NCAA tournament has been doing just fine for years and years and years.
Right.
And everyone has to qualify. They have to earn their way in to that thing. Not just an artificial,
you're right,
you're ranked in the top 4, you get in.
There's going to be some years where that 4th place SEC or that 4th place Big Ten team is just not a very good football team. I mean, that's going to happen. It won't happen often, but it will happen. And if you're talking about bringing in the top 16 teams, The reality is if you win your conference, you're going to get in. You don't need to have an automatic bid that says you're going to get in.
Mm-hmm.
If you win the SEC, if you win the ACC, if you win whatever, you're in. I don't have a problem with that. And if you want to basically for the Big 12 and the ACC say that if you win your conference, you're automatically in, I don't have a problem with that. To be honest with you, the only automatic bid that needs to be in place is the group of 16. Because they're not always going to be in the top 16. So if you still want to have that piece of the puzzle, then you make sure that there's one slot left for that group of 6 team so that they get in. Other than that, take the top 15. Like, I don't care what conference they come from. Earn your spot into the dance, man. That's what they're making Notre Dame do. They're basically saying, well, if you're in the top 12 or you're in the top 14 or whatever the number they come up with, you're in.
See, but that's part that, I mean, it's part of the problem, because really, like, they're going reality show, game show route by doing this. It's like, it's more about the like this extra stuff that you're putting on TV, because they also want to do these, the 3rd versus 6th place team and the 4 versus 5, and have these extra play in games that would be on campus and all that stuff. Apparently, they don't even have guaranteed TV partners for that. And, but again, it's like more money trying to create more drama, which again is like what I'm saying, like reality TV. It's not even about that it actually matters. It's not the actual, even, being the 4th place team, because they want to still kind of add something to it to give the 5th place team a chance there at the end.
Oh my God. So it's just, I suppose they're going to do that instead of conference championships at some point. Like,
I think so.
Because at this point, conference championships are a giant waste of time. I think we can all agree on that.
Right. And this goes back to the whole thing with Pate that I didn't even mention, that I know I've mentioned before. Like, people want to hold it against Notre Dame that they're not playing in a conference championship game. When nobody made any of these conferences have a conference championship game until about like 30 years ago. Like, that wasn't even a thing. And then the SEC had theirs. It was a big success. The whole thing started to grow. Other conferences did it, even though at times there were teams like Kansas State who got screwed out of being in the BCS championship game because they lost in a conference championship game. Like, nobody made any of these conferences create those conference championship games. They did it for more TV money.
Money
is what they did it for. That's exactly right.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
I don't know what these bigger conferences are going to do with their bids and how it's going to work. I find it personally, and I get where you're coming, not where you're coming from, but the way you explained it as to why they're going about this, to have that cushion and all of that. At the end of the day, it's real simple. If you're in the top 16, you're in. If you're not, you're out. Like, I don't see why that's so complicated. Why do we got to make it more complicated?
It shouldn't be, but it is.
I know.
So Sankey also talked a little bit about schools like Southern Cal that are looking to go back, looking to back out of marquee non-conference games. Don't walk away, is what Sankey said. He said, quote, when people are canceling games because of the selection process, that directly impacts the regular season, end quote. And that is blank.
I mean, it's accurate. I actually hate to say I kind of agree with what he's saying there.
One thing we probably agree with him.
I mean, I agree with him on that. You should not dummy down or water down your non-conference schedule because of what your conference schedule is. I'm sorry. No one wants to watch a bunch of 1AA teams play against these Power 4 teams. Nobody wants to see that. That's not, number one, it's not going to fill your stadium. Number two, it's not good TV. The TV people are going to be pissed off about it. They're not going to want to put those games on TV. So I agree with them on that front. Like, the first weekend of the season, there's a bunch of out-of-conference games. They're good games, and they're going to take those away. They're going to take those away.
And this is why, like, if you're a Southern Cal fan, are you fired up about Georgia Southern and Missouri State kicking off your schedule? Like,
exactly.
You'd rather have those two powder puffs just to guarantee you're getting a couple wins than playing Notre Dame, because as you've said, like, you do what you're supposed to in your conference and you finish in the top 4, at the very least, you're going to be in, one of those play-in games or whatever, which gives you a chance. And the fact that you played Notre Dame doesn't matter. If anything, it boosts your resume.
Yeah.
One way or the other. And the fact that people are trying to run away from this. Now, the fact that Sankey is saying this, here's the problem that I have with Greg Sankey saying it, because to a point, obviously, like the sentiment I agree with. But the problem is it would help if you weren't the guy who was, one of the 2 or 3 people who are most directly responsible for the downfall of college football over the last 3 years by yanking teams away from perfectly good conferences, that if the Big 12 were still the old Big 12 and the Pac-12 still existed and the SEC was still the SEC and the Big 10 was the Big 10 of just 2 years ago, we would all be better off for it. And nobody would be talking about pulling out of these games right now. But you've like created this monster,
right,
for selfish purposes. And now all of this stuff we've been talking about, you continue to be selfish with all this because you just want to have your cake and eat it too. So that's the problem that I have, like hearing Greg Sankey talk about it, because he's as responsible as anyone for just the, this mess. Obviously take NIL out of it. I'm not blaming Greg Sankey or Pate or, like any of those guys for NIL, but like for the state of college football and where all these teams are completely out of geographical whack. Like if you hadn't yanked all these teams away from conferences that were doing just fine, we wouldn't have to have this conversation about teams like USC and Nebraska. Nebraska pulled out of that Tennessee, like we wouldn't have to have these conversations about that stuff going on.
Well, and isn't he the commissioner of the conference that in like week 10 or somewhere along those lines, everybody in the conference plays like a 1AA team?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like 3/4 of the way through the season. There's a weekend where it's just like, well, these games suck. Like they're terrible because the SEC has like a gentleman's agreement that they all play these garbage teams, and I shouldn't say garbage teams, non-competitive teams, for the SEC.
They're all bye games. Yeah.
They all play them in the same weekend. So like that's your conference, man. So you guys could think outside the box a little bit more and maybe play somebody that's a little bit better at that point, but you don't. So again, probably another person that should just pick a lane and stay in it. But, seems to be a trend.
So there's going to be more discussion by the NCAA on the possibility of college football going to just one transfer portal per year. The 3 periods that are being discussed right now are January, March, and April. So if they go to just one college football transfer portal, which of those months would you choose?
I mean, this is really tough because I think the obvious answer is none of the above, and it should be like February. They should wait for the playoff to happen. Then they should have the portal for everybody, not just the teams that were in the, because I realize if you're in the playoff, you get some extra time and things like that. But they should wait for everybody until Feb. And again, it's not perfect because semesters have started at other schools. So like I get why it doesn't work.
And that's why to me January should be out.
In January, okay, that one should be out, you said?
Yes. I think they should just do it in the spring, at the end of spring ball. That would be my solution. Just you kind of have to eat it,
Yeah.
Like I guess technically, just like guys who come out of high school who enroll early, like they, I guess they get announced now, but like back in the day, they used to show up on campus before the official signing day even came around in February.
Oh, yeah.
So you could probably just go ahead and leave and transfer and, enroll in class. I guess you couldn't, go through spring practice or anything like that. But I guess my point is, because obviously in a perfect world, you do it in January, like you do it now in December January, so that guys can, transfer and go through spring practice and all that stuff. But if everyone's in the same boat, if you take away the winter transfer portal and you do it in April, then, nobody can transfer and go join their new team in the spring. Everybody just does it in the summer. Everyone's in the same boat. So that's why I would go that direction.
I think there's an argument to be made for every option that's on the table. Honestly, I think the expansion of the playoff has obviously hurt the portal, and you're going to see more and more guys jumping off of playoff teams and heading into the portal. If you're going to have an earlier portal window, right? You're going to see that more and more,
which is to me another reason not to do it in January.
I get that. Spring ball is so important now, though, and if you're going to bring in transfers, you'd like to.
But is it more important than fall train? Again, like if nobody can do it,
but it's still, if nobody can do it and everybody's on the same page, then so be it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're gonna, what you'll end up having is December graduates transferring automatically because they're graduate transfers and they can do whatever they want. Those are the only ones that are going to end up at a new school for the spring. Well, you know what? That's an advantage that happens if you can graduate. So I'd be okay with that too. So I agree with you. If these are the options that are on the table, I would do it after spring ball as well. And everybody has to follow the same rules, but there's no perfect answer to any of this because of the way that the playoff is and when spring semesters start and all of those different things. There's no good answer. There's no good answer.
I know. And that's the problem. That's why the whole, like the month of December now, especially with the expanded playoffs, when you've got the early signing period, and you've obviously got coaching moves being made, and like assistants are interviewing in different places and all these different things. That's why it just really feels like the transfer portal just shouldn't be there with all these other things that are going on, especially now if you're going to go to 16 teams next year, being involved in the college football playoff. That's that many more teams that are going to be involved in the postseason. So, in a meaningful postseason.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's why I don't think the winter is a good time to do it.
I don't understand.
Well, my watch doesn't understand you.
Just make everybody lump it and go to the spring.
It'll be interesting to see what they choose because I agree right now there's just a lot of ambiguity about when people can go in, when they can't go in, all of these different things. Oh, I'm going to try spring ball. I'm not going to try spring ball, like all of these different things. And, your position on the depth chart, your position on the team can obviously change from the beginning of spring ball to the end of spring ball. But you have a team like Notre Dame that went to the national championship game in spring was almost more of a burden than it was a benefit, I think, in a lot of ways. The only benefit Notre Dame got out of it is they got their quarterback raised from 3 to 2. They didn't really have any of their starting linemen, like younger guys got reps and things like that. Those things are all important. Don't get me wrong. But realistically, this is important for 2025. Did they really get a whole lot accomplished? Outside of Chris Ash talking to some defensive, like coaching some guys up and, Jaywan Sider. Okay, I get all that. But, I don't know. It was almost kind of a waste. And it was truncated because of the transfer portal window.
Because of, the portal and
they started later and they ended earlier.
And everything else. Yeah.
This is the first time they've ever had practice after the spring game. I don't know.
Very weird. It was a weird spring.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Brent Musburger turned 86 yesterday. Vince, do you miss Brent Musburger calling college football games?
Yeah, I like Brent Musburger. You're looking live.
You are looking live.
Yes. I mean, he's got a catchphrase, right? It's in Cars the movie. If you watch that.
Is it really? I didn't realize that.
It's Brent Mustang Burger.
Nice.
He announces the big race.
Is it actually him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sure is.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But yeah, I miss. I'm old school, so I miss the older guys, and so yes, absolutely, I miss Brent Musburger.
Yeah, I do as well. And we went from Keith Jackson to Brent Musburger, and think about how long those two guys did it. And I'm sorry, there's just not of all the guys calling the number one booth right now. Chris Fowler, serviceable job. I'm not saying he's bad.
Sure.
Serviceable. But it is nowhere even approaching, just like the big game voice, Joe Buck has a big game NFL voice, or even baseball voice for that matter, even though he doesn't do baseball anymore. You turn on a game and and Joe Buck is doing the game, it's a big game, him or not.
Correct.
Tommy says Fowler sucks. But college football has lacked that voice since Brent Musburger left college football. And so 100% I miss him. It's amazing. 86 years old. Still doing his thing. I think he's still doing his gambling thing out there in the desert and the whole thing.
Good for him. Because he was doing all kinds of commercials for that kind of stuff. And
yep.
He was doing like
Did the Raiders for a few years
about gambling. Yeah.
Toonsis wants to know if this is live. No, this is just a show. I guess
we're here for
did
you.
Did we just prove that it was live by
pulling it up? I think so.
Holding up a newspaper there.
Yeah. Hold up a newspaper.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. We've got a little bit of an abbreviated week.
It's going to be a weird week. Yeah. Agreed.
Whoop.
What?
I might went there.
Oh.
I think I'm still
You're
here
back.
For some
You're
reason.
back.
Okay. So Vince and I will be here tomorrow. Long story short, we'll talk about what the rest of the week will look like after that.
We know we'll be here tomorrow.
But Toonsis, we are live.
Yes.
We are looking live, at least for now.
See what you did there.
All right. Appreciate you being here. Thanks again to Chuck Freebie for hanging out with us for almost a full hour. Yes, indeed, Joe. It is a mailbag show tomorrow. We won't have a we in, we out show this week. So mailbag, that's kind of what we'll talk about tomorrow. We won't have a show Thursday, honestly. So mailbag show coming up tomorrow. Hit the like button before you leave, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on IB Nation Sports Talk.